This session is called Girl Power Knowledge Sharing, and we have Madhura Mahajan. She is the Dean IQAC, Head of Department Printing and Packaging Technology at PVG's College of Engineering and Technology in Pune. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Pune.
That's right. That's right.
Pune, India, and Colleen Twomey, who is the professor and department chair at California Polytechnic State University. Most people know that as Cal Poly. Uh, the communication division. And both of our guests here are here to discuss the power of creating a welcoming work environment, successfully recruiting and supporting students entering the industry, and how to best connect with their programs to foster the future of the industry. And this session is super important for a few reasons. The first is because if you ask most print businesses what their biggest problem is, they will say people. How are they going to find people to work in their printing businesses and and whatever that is, from a print shop to a manufacturer? It's all part of the printing industry. How are they supposed to find people that are enthusiastic and actually want a career in print? We learned and have learned over all of the years that I've been doing programming that most people accidentally find their way into the print industry. It's not really a purposeful thing for many people. I'm one of them. One day I was in advertising, the next minute I mean, it's not a crazy jump because I work with printers and things like that, but I never thought that I would, be on, let's say, this side of things. And yet I found my way there and created a space. So we all need to embrace the fact that the world is changing and has changed, and the students are not like, I'm a Gen Xer. They're not like we were growing up. You'd ask a question and it was like, you ask a question and the answer is because I said so. I mean, that was the answer. There was no conversation after that, but the world has really changed. And I wanted everybody to hear from the people who have the students in the nebula, in the incubator, in the petri dish. They are growing them for us. But we have to understand who they are, how they function, and how we can best support them so they feel welcomed and they stay. So, Madhura, let's start with you. Can you let everybody know more about you, your university, and the program that you are part of?
Yeah. So, hi everyone, and thank you, Deborah, for giving this chance. And this is my second opportunity to be on this platform, and I can see it is so wonderful. And every session today evening is like a breeze coming in with new thoughts, new ideas, and absolutely fresh perspective at whatever you are doing individually and as a team. So I think I'm having personally a great time from 6:30 p.m. That's my time, IST. I am with this. So I am personally a printing engineer. So I have done my engineering in printing and from this my own city of Pune. And since almost 28 years, I am working as a faculty member. So almost catching up with Kelly's experience. So after 3 years, I'll be 31 years, and I'll be telling everyone, yes, since 31 years, I've been doing this. So 28 years in the department, and it has been wonderful because I have seen the waves of change happening at every decade and every maybe 5 years or 8 years or 10 years, and I've experienced it, and I've been happy to be a part of it, and try to change it through the students, and as well as change it for me and seeing the changes and make it happen for me as well. uh, um, the basic work that we do is, of course, teaching, that is to train them for the industry in India, which is majorly offset, flexo, gravure, and digital printing. And of course, packaging is now catching up very rapidly. And we are also teaching them into printed electronics. So these are some of the courses that we are taking up, since it's an engineering program. So we need to also back it up with various engineering subjects. Today, we are seeing that AI is flooded everywhere. As Deborah said, that the minute you open any app or any information that you require, you will always find an AI backup there, giving you their own thoughts and their own ideas and their own information. And probably it is going to do much more for humanity than electricity and fire, I guess, in future. And it's just for it's just for these institutes and colleges and this generation to catch up with AI. And I think printing and packaging would not be left behind. And if we are left behind, probably it's going to be difficult. So we are into, just to sum it up, we are into research of sustainable materials. We are into research of printing eco-friendly inks, research of printed electronics, and now trying to incorporate AI as well in various curriculum.
Um, what is the proportion of women and men in your program?
We do have women, but yeah, they are less. You mentioned it when you introduced us, that today it is very difficult to get students first for this program itself. And because we all know that there is CS and the other courses, or other scopes or other opportunities growing, and that's why they feel it. They feel there is more demand and more opportunities available in those fields than in this field, because they see it, because print is, though they see print everywhere, they are not seeing the opportunity of working in that industry. So we all say that we see print, we use print right from the morning till the night, and we see it visually everywhere present, we handle print everywhere. But we are not able to describe it, or we are not able to mention, or you can say show it to the new generation. What is the scope, what is its opportunities, and how it's going to give them a good life, because
Yeah.
eventually everyone is looking for a good life.
Yeah.
So girls are less, boys are more.
Thank you so much. Colleen Twomey, can you tell us a little more about you, your university, and your program?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Greetings from beautiful San Luis Obispo, California. My name is Colleen Twomey. I use she, her pronouns. And prior to coming to Cal Poly, where I'm a faculty member and department chair, I spent a few decades in the packaging industry, flexo printing. So I sort of see both sides. And what I find fascinating is Madhura, our programs are not dissimilar at all. I have an undergraduate degree in printing, and I'm also a Gen Xer. And when I was there, it was six folks who identify as men to one women. And right now at Cal Poly, our ratio is 86 students that identify as female. That's an incredible shift in 30 years. At Cal Poly, our ethos is learn by doing. So our program, which is founded on print, has 30,000 square foot of laboratory space where we have a lot of equipment. Our students learn the basics of printing and color management and workflow. And then they can expand their areas of interest. So we're a Bachelor of Science degree. We're an accredited program. And our students, after their first few years, can take a concentration in a variety of different areas: consumer packaging, management in the graphic communication industry, user experience, user interface, and design reproduction technology. So it's a very well-rounded program. We're one of a few in the United States, but what also makes us a little bit unique is we have a student-run printing enterprise as part of our program, where students run a company selling print and print services and design services to the university and some aspects of the community. So students get an understanding of not just the technical aspects of print, but how to deal with customers, how to estimate, order raw materials, all deal with grumpy customers, all before they graduate. So it's a nice opportunity for students to sort of dip into what the industry is like before they get out there. And that's us in a nutshell.
Now, before you said 83 students, did you mean literally 83 students, or 83% of your program is
Oh,
female?
did I say 83 students? Sorry. 83% of our student body are women. That's correct. We're about 350 students in the graphic communication program at Cal Poly.
It's amazing that is the percentage. And I was very fortunate to be invited to speak at one of your events a few years ago. And when I was talking to the women who were going to graduate, the following year, or who had just were going to graduate that year, I have to tell you that many of them were not enthusiastic about working in the printing industry and weren't actually looking for work in what we would call traditional print business jobs. They were going to take their knowledge and work in bigger businesses and corporations, maybe helping them with their marketing or their sales or things like that. It was a very difficult conversation, but there's a reason for that, I'm assuming, and I hope that you have some insight to share on that, because Colleen, I just want to stay with you for a minute. Based on your experience and conversations, what challenges are the female graduates facing to consider a job in print?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I'm not sure I have the answer for, because our students, a big challenge we have is our students don't want to leave California. And so print production is mostly in the southern part of the state, and I'm generalizing, of course, and branding and things like that are more in the northern part of the state. And although we do have a lot of traditional print, many of our students will go to work for larger companies. Apple is a big employer. Our Donnelly hires a lot of our students. Where they tend to thrive are at companies that potentially offer a little bit of a rotational program, so a dip into different functional areas within a company that they can sort of see themselves doing a few different things. It is true that traditional print, walking into a very large manufacturing process or plant can be daunting, although they see the equipment in our own laboratory space. I think probably the challenge is the right word. The bigger challenge is maybe the culture. Coming from a university setting where students are tasked to solve problems by critically thinking, working in groups, being able to speak their minds and talk about new ideas and really be graded for that, right? Really be rewarded and assessed for coming up with really new concepts, and going into an industry or potentially a company where the delta of age, not only gender, but age, is pretty significant, where people may not be as open to hearing new ideas just because, there's a young person at the table. I think that's kind of a big challenge. So if, we do a lot to prepare our students, to potentially come across these challenges. But I think if the industry can also kind of work on things where these are super, super smart, super creative students, and the reputation of Gen Z as being, not wanting to work and lazy is absolutely not true. They have some of the best work ethic I've ever seen. And so I think if we can convince our industry and our companies to, take a pause and listen and see what these amazing students can do, there's just going to be no stopping, and the industry will absolutely flourish as a result.
Yeah. I mean, all the Gen Zers I've made are super enthusiastic as long as they understand what is the mission, how is what they're doing contributing to the success of the mission, and that they feel heard. That's it. It's not very difficult to take 2 seconds and listen to somebody and not just say, no, that's a bad idea, you know, to reward the idea with some recognition, you know, maybe explain why this is not the right time to implement it, but maybe there's another way you could work together to get something started. Just not be dismissive. Madhura, do you have less women in your program? And I'm not sure what the makeup is of the industry as far as the male to female ratio, but do you have conversations with women and the graduates and understand any of the challenges they specifically face trying to move into work from school?
Yeah. So though the percentage of women is less, but they are pretty much ambitious. They are pretty much they would definitely would like to do a career in printing. It's like I would say just 20% of the girls would leave printing and go move into another industry, but I guess most of them stay back, and they really like to feel the print and all the operations. They enjoy working in the shop floor as well, but they do feel a little stressed there, is because it is a male dominated field ultimately, and they are all experienced, and of course there is an age difference, as Colleen has also mentioned. So that age difference makes gives them a little shiver that whether they would be heard, or whether their views would be taken up or no. And when that kind of recognition is not being given to the students, then of course they start falling back, and then they start losing out the interest in working ahead, because ultimately opinion matters. And when you are heard, and when you give your suggestions, because you are working hard, and you are giving those 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever needed, and then at the end of the day, if your opinion is not taken into account, then you start losing interest. So that is one challenge that the girls, women do face in the industry. And they do face the gender bias, definitely, since it is still a male dominated place. So that is one thing. And most of the jobs are stereotyped for male, very less roles defined for women. So I guess it is high time that, though we say that a job is a job, but ultimately there have to be jobs defined for women, which will make them enjoy, because it ultimately it goes as per their liking, their aptitude, their interest. And if such roles are created, I think they will outperform in that role, I guess.
Yeah. Job descriptions are really so important, and if they, to your point, if they're skewing that, you know maybe this is not for me, just from words that are being used, or there's some thought behind the fact that if 10 responsibilities are listed in a job description and a woman feels that they can do 8 of them, they won't apply for the job because there's 2 that they can't do. Where a male will be like, hey, that's a cool job title. I'm going to apply for it. Or maybe they could do one thing and they're like, I'm going to apply for it anyhow. I could talk my way through an interview. And it goes back to something that, we've been speaking about all day, which is confidence, having the confidence to apply, having the confidence to say, okay, I didn't get that job, but what did I learn from that interview? And so on and so forth. Colleen, based on your experience and conversations, and we've touched upon this a little, what aspects of a company's work culture are important to female graduates, and how can printing businesses meet these expectations to keep their employees? I will just add that there are so many graduates that come from the university programs. They enter the printing industry and they don't last in their jobs. And they're like, get me the hell out of here to digital marketing, where they feel it is just a much more receptive world to their being, which is not their professional experience. I'm talking about them as people. Colleen, can you address that at all?
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to solve that problem if I could. Um, yeah, I think, you know, it's not that our students don't want to be in print. I think sometimes they see the industry as something that it isn't, or maybe they haven't seen what it could be. And I think if companies can really position themselves, and it may be as something as banal as having really important things that are important to students, like a chief sustainability officer or something on their webpage that touches on social justice or something along those lines that they believe in, that is an important part of the culture of the company, that strikes chords in our students because they really want to solve problems. And in the print industry, there are a lot of problems out there to be solved. And what I have found for companies to be successful in that we don't get a student hired and then in 2 years they leave, is to hire two, right? There's such a disparity between the young folks, especially women coming into print. And I saw something in the chat about sales, and that's an amazing opportunity for our young women in the university level. If you have the silver tsunami happening in your company where you have retirees that are leaving, a lot of institutional knowledge, and you hire a person from a university, they don't see themselves, they don't have connections, they don't have somebody they can just sit and talk to at their level. Hire two. It doesn't have to be from the same university, right? But somebody that they can connect with, even if it's in a different discipline. I think that's a much better chance of success in not having recidivism, but having people really enjoy the company, the culture, and immerse themselves in it because they see each other. And interns, if you can start before they graduate and hire students as a summer intern or part-time worker and really expose some exciting things that they want to come back, I think that's also a really great way.
Madhura, same question. What aspects of a company culture are important to the women, specifically in India, and how can print businesses do a better job keeping them long term?
Yeah. So, see, whenever we take up a job as an intern or, as a fresh undergrad or a graduate, we all are dreaming of, we first all have a dream company in our mind. Okay. So we may get it or we may not get it. And then once we get any role, we would definitely like to climb the ladder, and then we would definitely like to have become a leader. So I think a culture in the company should be such that they must encourage women in the leadership roles. So that is something that will help them attract more women further, and more even the new talent further. Because if you want a young generation to come in, then they must see that path. So today, they all know that how every industry, the growth of an individual is happening. So even in the print industry, it should be clear to them the minute they come there as an intern, maybe during their studies or even after they completed their undergraduation. So how are they going to rise up, and what is the challenging work that they are going to get to do it? So whether it is in a creative way, or whether it is, whether it is marketing, or whether it's creativity, or whether it is, production, so whatever it is, and then ultimately that leadership. So if the leadership is not visible, then I think people will start again withdrawing. The girls will start also withdrawing. Uh, Now, it's not that all girls or all women want to become leaders. That's also there. They all, sometimes they just want, a safe, comfortable job. So maybe safety and security is something which girls also expect, and no, I mean, basic thing that no bullying during their work as they are working. So, I mean, these are some simple things that these two types of women may look forward. So, a good leadership, when they, as they gain experience, and especially those who would not want to go take that road, at least, have a comfortable job which gives them safety and security.
I would like to add from my experience being on the other side, that it is really crazy. Like we say, we want young people because we want to diversity of voices and experiences. And the first thing companies do is say, do it like this, because this is the way we do it around here. And why we don't, that's not what we don't want that. Don't do that. And they actually start chipping away at somebody's will to be an active participant in their career. Instead of something like this, imagine getting an intern from a school or hiring a young person and say, all I want you to do today is walk around this print shop, and at the end of the day, come back and tell me what you think is cool. Just tell me what you think. What interests you in here? And then from there, hey, do you know how to use TikTok? Why don't you go make a video about that folding machine, or that how we process direct mail, or whatever it might be? But let their perspective help you to attract more young people. And I loved, Colleen, the buddy system, and you're absolutely right. Even if it's just to turn around and say, okay, Joe's lost his mind today, but at least they have someone to say that to. And I also feel that companies are missing out on a great opportunity, again, to a point that you made before, Colleen. If they know people are retiring, get a younger person in there for that seasoned veteran to train, to walk around with, to hopefully be open enough to say, look, I'm not telling you to do it my way. I'm just showing you what has to get done. And then be open enough to let that person make ideas, or the owner of the company be open enough to say, okay, well, we've been doing it this way for 50 years, but you just walked in here and found a better way to do it in 3 minutes because you have a different perspective, and no one's been drilling it into you. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. So I think it's really super important to be open. I want to just wrap this up because we need to get back on schedule here. But most important, Madhura, will stay with you. How can printing businesses and the industry establish meaningful partnerships with university programs and technical schools? And how can we, the programs and the industry, collaborate better for successful workforce development? There seems like there is still a bit of a disconnect, please.
Yeah. I think, of course, collaboration is the key. More and more industry have to collaborate. So every industry is every year, annually, I guess, is plowing capital into new technology or infrastructure and developing so many things at their end. But then what is the point if the new talent is not getting attracted? So I think that also a chunk of it must be also invested in university programs, so that they partner, have this, as you have mentioned, meaningful partnerships. So what kind of partnerships which we believe, and it's also happening, I think, in most of the universities, but can be encouraged more, is yeah, there should be some things called as center of excellence. Okay. And where some their setup is there in let's say, for example, Mimaki or Canon, or they have their own setup at the university. And that center of excellence runs through a university, and they are able to showcase it. It's not to, now we have 7 engineering programs, so it's the other students also who can see it. We can have a huge showcase of the technology, and make it more closer, make it more friendlier to everyone around. And that can help to collaborate, and will help to develop a successful workforce. Secondly, I think they should have a mission to collaborate with the students, with the institute, and which they don't have. And very very few companies feel that yeah, it is on their agenda to connect with institutes. Institutes are reaching out. It's not that institutes do not reach out, and because they need industry, it's not that they cannot. It's difficult to survive without industry, of course, but then it has to be also on the agenda of the institute, of the industry, that yeah, annually we will do this for this school, or we will do this for this program, and this is how, or for the girls, or maybe especially for the girls, so that they are encouraged to take up a job. They are encouraged. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they just get married and they settle down. That's also one of the cases in India. So somehow make it attractive, and try to share their needs, and share that that they need the students, and this is the new technology. Showcase it as much as possible to the new generation. And I think that is something which will help industry and institute grow together.
Thank you so much for participating with us today. I really appreciate it. Colleen, same question. How can printing businesses and the industry create meaningful partnerships with your programs, and how can we collaborate better for successful workforce development?
I will say ditto to what Madhura said. I thought you said that perfectly. If there are projects that the industry companies have that they don't have the time to put a lot of sweat investment in, come and have our students take a crack at it. What a great senior project. As a Polytechnic University, all of our students are required to do a senior project. Why not solve a problem for a company, and maybe they can get a little publishing cred at the same
Wait, can
time?
I ask you a question? Does
Sure.
that cost money?
It can, or it can be handled many different ways. It could be a donation, it could be collaboration. The cost could be providing student travel to go to a company. It can be handled in many, many different ways, because big companies have a lot more wherewithal to actually give money to a university, but smaller companies don't. And we love to be creative. Come to our career fairs, please. We have 3 a year in our department. We have one coming up on February 19th at Cal Poly. Come and hire our students for an internship or a job. And we love to take our students to conferences. And one thing I have seen a shift with in the last couple of years is companies are not shunning students from coming to their booths. They're welcoming them. And I love this Girls Who Print atmosphere. And if perhaps there's a conference coming up and there are some Girls Who Print members at a conference and you're thinking students should be there, we'll try our darndest to get them there. And if we can connect and have mentorships, or even if it's just a exchange of contact information over a cocktail hour, those types of relationships are really incredible. So
Yeah.
that's fine. sense.
I would love to collaborate with your department on the Girls Who Print graphics. For example, our next one is the International Women's Day event. So I'm definitely going to talk. That's why I was like, wait, does this cost money? I didn't realize I could collaborate with the students, but we'll figure that all out.
Let's do it, Deborah. I love it.
Okay, ladies, thank you
Thank you.
so much. Sandy has put links for everybody's information in the chat. And you even have support from FESPA in the in the chat there. So we Girls Who Print is 100% laser focused on workforce development next year, but not just for students, also for people, women who are managers who want to become senior managers and, looking to grow their roles as well. So we will be definitely doing more about that. Kelly, did you want to say anything before we move on?
Well, I mean, that was a fantastic session and thank you to you both. But the one overarching thing that I think everybody who's in a position to hire or that owns a company needs to hear is that no one is lucky to have a job at your company. That seems like that was really the sense for a really long time. It's like, well, people should just be lucky to be here. We really do have to create and cultivate environments where culture is a main focus. And I loved the hire to concept. I think that's so fantastic. You don't want one young person kind of off there by themselves with no cohort, right? So I think that was genius advice. There's so much good advice here. Thank you so much to you both.